The next part of this has to do with what's called compound inequalities. We talked about inequalities. Now let's talk about compound inequalities. Compound inequalities. All right, now here's what I mean by compound inequalities. A compound inequality are two inequalities joined by the word and or are. So two inequalities joined by the word and or are. So you have two inequalities with the word and between them, or two inequalities with the word are between them. So a compound inequality with the word and means different than a compound inequality with the word are. Those are two different things. They mean different things. So let's start with and. We're going to look at and for right now. We're going to start simple. So let's suppose I want you to solve this compound inequality. So let's solve this compound inequality. And so let's say my compound inequality is this. X is greater than 4 and X is less than 9. X is greater than 4 and X is less than 9. So that's a compound inequality because I have two inequalities with the word and. So if I want to solve this compound inequality, now you got to remember previously you didn't have two like this. It was just one and you solved this inequality. So previously, on a previous worksheet, if I asked you to solve this inequality right here, your solutions, if I just looking at this, your solution would be any number that's what? Greater than 4, right? Okay, so that's the idea. But this is not just a simple inequality, it is a compound inequality. So to solve this compound inequality, I've got to look at those two inequalities with the word and. So what this means is this. I want to find all the solutions that are greater than 4 and at the same time less than 9. So give me one solution that you think works. 5. Is 5 bigger than 4?
Yes.
And is it less than 9?
Yes.
Yes. What's another number?
8.
8. How many are there? An infinite number, because you have all those decimals and all that, right? Okay. So if I ask you to graph it, just like before, you're going to graph, because there's an infinite number of solutions, so you can't list them. So the graph. So if I have, let's say, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I remember greater than versus greater than less than, or equal to, sorry. So there's an equal sign, you remember use a closed circle. There's no equal sign, use a open circle. So at 4, what will I have? Open circle. At 9, what will I have? Open circle. So my solutions are all the real numbers that are between what? 4 and 9. So you're going to say open circle, and you're going to shade in everything here. So that's your graph. Okay? That's your graph. So when you do these compound inequalities, you're going to solve for x, and then you look at the word either and or or. Now or means different, but we're only working with and right now, and you're going to look at what the solution is. You're going to graph the solution. Okay? Now let's look at this one. Suppose I want to solve x is greater than 6 and x is greater than 2. X is greater than 6 and x is greater than 2. Give me a number that you think is a solution to this compound inequality.
8.
8. Is 8 bigger than 6? And is 8 bigger than 2? Yes. But you got to find all of them, though. So, if I were to draw a number line, where would I start? Okay, so if I start at 2, you're telling me 3 works, right?
No.
Does 3 work? No, because 3 is not bigger than 6. You're going to start where?
6.
At 6. That's where you're going to start. So so the best thing to do now, see how some of you were a little flustered with this. The best thing to do when you see an and or an or, an and or an or, is going to draw the graph, each graph individually. Okay, so I want you to notice this. I'm going to come back here, and we're going to graph x is greater than 6. So x is greater than 6 means this, right? You all agree? Okay. Then I'm going to graph x is greater than 2. X is greater than 2. Here's where 2 is. Means this, right? When you see the word and, I want you to think of intersection. Think of intersection. Overlapping. Where do those two graphs start overlapping? Between 6 and what? Infinity. So when doing those compound inequalities, it is a very good idea, when you get x by itself, to draw each of the solutions and then look at the intersection. And so your answer then, where are you going to start? 6 with a what? Open circle going to infinity. So there's your graph. Okay? So this right here will be your work. That will be your work. And this will be your answer. Okay?
What about the interval notations and all that?
Well, okay, so yeah, you could be asked to do interval notation here. So interval notation would be parentheses 6 to infinity, right? Okay?
Is that a 6?
Comma, infinity?
A 6 2. Okay, I thought you said 6 2. I was like, wait.
No, 6 to TO,
Right. Okay.
not TWO.
Right. Okay.
6 to infinity.
And then what about the one above it?
About the what?
The one x is greater than.
The set notation? Well, the
Well, set notation, you can do that one as well. I meant.
well, I mean, just read this. What does this say? X is bigger than what? 6. So set of x's such that x is greater than 6.
I was talking about the one above it.
Here? Yeah,
Where x is greater than 4 and x is less than 9.
Okay, so the interval notation would be parentheses 4 to 9, right? That one's easy, right? You just read from the graph. The inequality notation, remember when it's bounded like this, that's where you got to put that x between them. So when you got that worksheet back last week, some of you messed up on that part of the worksheet. So you got to say all the x's are between what? 4 and 9. So you would say x is between what two numbers? 4 and 9. That's your inequality notation. There's no parentheses here because there's no closed circle. They're both open. There's no. Oh, okay. So you're talking about the brace, the set notation. So set notation, you say the set of x's such that, and you just rewrite this. All right. But on the worksheet, it's only going to ask you on the worksheet. It's just going to say, graph and then interval notation. That's all it asks. Graph, interval notation. I'm going to ask you for set notation for those, and it's not going to ask you for inequality notation. It's just going to ask you for graph and interval. Okay?
Set notation for credit?
No. But you do need to know it for the test coming up. And that test number 2. All right. Okay. Now, so what if I had this now? Solve. X is greater than 4, and x is less than 1. X is greater than 4, and x is less than 1. Give me a number you think that works. Five. Okay, so someone said 5. I agree 5 is greater than 4, but is 5 less than 1? So 5 doesn't work. Okay, she's used what word? No solution. So when you graph each one individually, let's think about this. Remember, the best thing to do is graph each one individually. So when you look at this worksheet on the end, I want you to notice what it says. Solve each compound inequality, show all work as presented in class, graph the solution set, and write the solution set in Inequality Notation. If the solution is empty set, you write, and we're going to talk about what the symbol is. All right. Now it says show the work, right? Okay, so the work for this would be where you graph each one individually. And we'll see why it's no solution. Graph each one individually, it helps. Here's 4, open a closed circle. Going which way? To the right. X less than 1. Make sure that all the numbers overlap. So where are you going to put 1? You're going to put 1 here? No, you can put 1 here, right? Open or closed. Going which way? And remember, and means what word? Intersection, right? Overlapping, intersection. Where do those two graphs intersect? They don't. They don't. So the graph will be given. You're going to have a graph here, but you're not going to shade anything. You're going to leave it blank. Okay? And then you're going to have the word interval notation. So on the blank, on the graph, you can just put something like empty set. This means empty set. Empty set, the little circle with a line through it diagonally. For the interval notation, you can put empty set, or you can say no solution. But on my math lab, they do use the empty set symbol. Empty set. But on my math lab, they do use the empty set symbol. Okay? All right. Now, remember we did graph each one individually. All right, let's look at this example. So, let's write this one down. Solve 2x is greater than 6 and x plus 1 is greater than negative 5. 2x, let's do less than. Shoot. No, that's fine. All right, we're good. 2x is greater than 6, and x plus 1 is greater than negative 5. Okay? All right. Now, remember the ones, when we solve an inequality, you always get the variable by itself, or even an equation, correct? Yep. So you got to solve each one individually. So how do you solve that first inequality? Divide both sides by 2. So x is greater than 3, right? So that means that any number bigger than 3 is a solution to this inequality, correct? That's what I just found. Now I got to do the next one. I got to find the solutions to this inequality. How do I do that? So my solutions to that second inequality will be any number that's bigger than negative 6. Okay, so that's where I'm at. Now remember the word between them is and. So you're looking for what idea? The intersection of those two solutions. So you look at the two graphs. It helps me look at the two graphs. Graph them separately. Here's 3. What do I put on 3? Going which way? To the right. Here is -6. Open or closed? Going which way? To the right. And I got to look to see where those two graphs do what? Intersect. They intersect from, you see how I'm kind of shading in where they intersect? From 3 to what? Infinity. Very good. So your answer, you're going to put the open circle on what number? 3. Going which way? To the right. So there's your solution. So my solution to the compound inequality is any number that's bigger than what? 3. That's my solution. So in interval notation, it will be parentheses, 3, comma, infinity, parentheses. Okay? All right, so we'll do a few more with and next time. And we're going to look at the word or. So if you can do and, you can do the word or. So if and means intersection, you can learn next time that or means union. Union. So any number would be a solution that's in either one.
And that is all on your test.
Test 3.
Oh, test
You look at your study guide. You got your study
Well,
guide.
I have it out, but I thought you said just now that they're hearing it.
Yeah.
I thought you said that.
Yeah, we're both going to go to
Sorry.
Beltone, girl. We got to. I think they take $1,000 off
Yeah, maybe we could've just
the
gone
second
to
pair.
lecture.
All right. Okay, so